Okay, class. I wanted to go over some of the algebraic review. So this was from Algebra 1, but we wanted to review this because we're going to be adding algebra to some geometry rules. And so it's very important that you don't forget Algebra 1. So let's start with some easy ones. I've got some problems over here that we're going to take from. And so let's start with an easier one. So number 2, right, is x plus 5 equals 13. And so some really nice rules that we have, and I'm going to show them real quick. Okay, step 1, you're going to distribute when you can. Let me zoom this in a little. So step 1, you're going to distribute when you can. Step 2 is you're going to simplify each side. So you're going to simplify the left side if you can, and then simplify the right side you can separately. From there, you're going to want to make sure that your variable is on one side. So if you have x's on the right and x's on the left, you want to combine them and get them all on one side. Then from there, you're also going to solve, and you're going to start doing inverse operations. And so if you have an addition on one side, to move it to the other side of the equal sign, you're going to do subtraction. So we're going to have inverse operations. So let's go back to our simple example. So we have x plus 5 equals 13. And so right now, there's nothing to distribute. So step 1, we don't have to do. Step 2 is to simplify each side. So can I combine anything on the left side? I have an x plus 5. No, I cannot put an x and a plus 5 together unless there was multiplication going on. And in this case, it's addition. So there's nothing I can simplify. So we can go to the next one. Are my variables on the same side? Yes. As of right now, x is on the left side and there are no x's on the right. So we're good. So my last step is to do the inverse operation of whatever is stuck with x, because we want to isolate x. We want x all by itself. So to get x all by itself, we need to do the opposite operation. So in this case, we have a plus 5. We need to subtract 5 from both sides. And so then now, let me move my screen down a little. So now I'm left with just x on this side, and because 5 minus 5 is 0, that goes away. And then we have 13 minus 5. And so we are left with 8. Okay, let's try a harder one. Gotta find my eraser, sorry. So we have negative 5, parentheses, x plus 7, end the parenthesis, minus 6 equals negative 1. And so if we go back to those rules we went over, it says to distribute first. And anytime you see parentheses and there's a number on the outside of the parenthesis with no addition or subtraction, because this has a subtraction, so that's not the same thing. I'm talking about when it's right up against it, that's multiplication. That tells me this negative 5 needs to be distributed to both. And so we're going to say negative 5 times x. So negative 5 times x gives me a negative 5x. Then I need negative 5 times a positive 7. And so negative times a positive is still going to be a negative. And negative 5 times 7 is going to be a negative 35. Then I bring down everything else right now because I only wanted to distribute. The second step is to simplify each side. So if I look at the left-hand side, is there anything that I can combine? And the answer is yes. Right here, I've got numbers that are just numbers. There's no variables attached to them. And so I'm allowed to combine these. So I'm going to go ahead and just bring down this so I don't forget about it. But then I have a negative 35 minus 6 more, right? And then I'm going to bring down the rest. So negative 35 minus 6 is a negative 41. Okay, my next step says, hey, are the variables all on the same side? Yes. X is on the left and there are no X's on the right. So we're good. So then now it's solving. We're ready to solve by doing inverse operations. And so to do inverse operation, sorry, I need to move this a little bit. We are first going to add 41 to both sides. Okay. When we do inverse operations, we're actually doing the inverse of PEMDAS also. And so we're doing, instead of multiplication and division first, we're doing adding or subtracting first. Okay, because we're trying to get X all by itself. So now we're going to bring this down. We have a -1 plus a 41, so we're left with a positive 40. And then the last step, how do we get X all by itself? Well, right now it's being multiplied, so its opposite would be division. So we're going to divide both sides by a -5. That goes away, and we get X is equal to -8. So for your homework, there's a bunch of different practices on there. Please make sure you keep practicing solving equations. And then the next video is going to be writing an equation from a word problem. Talk to you later.